The transport ship landed with a heavy thud on the red soil of planet. Maya sat alone in the back, holding her small bag against her chest. She was 23 years old, thin and short, with black hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her hands were shaking. She looked at her assignment paper for the 100th time. Unit 77, the monster unit. There had to be some mistake. Maya had trained for 2 years at the academy to become a field medic. She was supposed to go to the medical corps on the safe planet of Theta 9, but someone in the administration office had typed the wrong number. Instead of Unit 17, she was sent to Unit 77. The door of the ship opened. Hot air rushed in, carrying the smell of dust and something else, something strange and wild. A soldier stood waiting outside, but he was not human. He was over 7 feet tall with gray skin covered in thick scales. His eyes were yellow with black slits, like a snake. 2 small horns grew from his forehead. He wore the same military uniform as Maya, but it looked very different on his massive body. Maya swallowed hard. She had heard about the other species in the Galactic Alliance. They were all bigger, stronger, and more deadly than humans. Most of them were sent to the front lines to fight the enemy called the Hive. The Hive was a race of creatures that ate everything in their path. They had attacked the galaxy for 50 years, destroying hundreds of worlds. The only thing that stopped them was the Alliance army. And the most dangerous unit in that army was Unit 77, the monster unit. The scaled soldier looked down at Maya. His eyes moved over her small body with what looked like confusion. "You are the new soldier?" he asked. His voice was deep and rough. "I think there was a mistake," Maya said quickly. "I was supposed to go to the medical corps. I am a medic, not a fighter." The soldier shook his head slowly. "No mistake, your name is on the list. Maya, Unit 77, you belong here now." Maya's heart sank. She followed the soldier across the base. All around her she saw creatures from her worst dreams. A group of soldiers walked past. They looked like wolves that stood on 2 legs with silver fur and red eyes. They were laughing at some joke, their sharp teeth flashing in the light. Near the training ground, I was lifting weights. They were the biggest species in the Alliance. This one was 9 feet tall with 4 arms and skin like black rock. Each weight he lifted was bigger than Maya's entire body. And they were everywhere. The scaled warriors with their yellow eyes and quick movements. They watched Maya as she walked past. She could feel their eyes on her back. The soldier led her to a small building at the edge of the base. Inside was an office with a desk and 2 chairs. Behind the desk sat the strangest creature Maya had ever seen. He looked almost human, but not quite. His skin was pale blue, and his eyes were completely white with no pupils. His hair was long and silver, falling down his back like a waterfall. When he smiled, Maya saw that his teeth were slightly pointed. "Ah," he said, "the human." "Commander Vex," the scaled soldier said with a salute. "I brought the new recruit." Commander Vex waved his hand, and the soldier left. Then he looked at Maya for a long moment. His white eyes seemed to look right through her. "Sit down, Maya." Maya sat. Her legs felt weak. "I know what you are thinking," Vex said. "You think you do not belong here. You think you are too small, too weak, too human. You think this is all a terrible mistake." "Yes, sir," Maya said honestly. "I trained to be a medic. I have never killed anything in my life." Vex nodded slowly. "I know, I saw your file. Top of your class in medical training, quick mind, good hands, but you failed every combat test. You are the weakest soldier I have ever seen in this unit." Maya felt her face grow hot with shame. "Then why am I here? Why not send me where I belong?" "Because the mistake has been made," Vex said simply. "The paperwork is done. Moving you to another unit would take months. By then, you will be dead or you will be one of us. There is no middle ground in the monster unit." Maya felt cold fear in her stomach. "Dead." "We fight the Hive," Vex said. "Every week we go out on hunts. Every week some of us do not come back. The hive is fast, strong, and hungry. They do not care if you are big or small. They will eat you just the same. He leaned forward across the desk, his white eyes locked onto hers. But I will tell you something, Maya. I have been fighting for 200 years. I have seen every species in this galaxy, and I have learned one thing. Size and strength are not everything. The hive has killed many of my biggest soldiers, but sometimes the ones who survive are not the strongest. They are the fastest, the ones who adapt. Maya did not know what to say. She just sat there feeling small and scared. Vex stood up. You start training tomorrow. The others will not be kind to you. They will call you weak. They will say you do not belong. Maybe they are right, but I have seen many soldiers come through this unit. I will not judge you until I see what you can do. He walked to the door and opened it. Your room is in Building C. Get some sleep. You will need it. Maya left the office on shaking legs. The sun was setting over the base, turning the sky orange and red. Somewhere in the distance, she heard a strange howling sound. It might have been wind. It might have been something else. She found Building C and went inside. The hallway was dark and smelled like sweat and metal. She found her room number and opened the door. The room was tiny, just a bed, a small table, and a lamp. The walls were made of gray metal. There was no window. Maya sat on the bed and put her face in her hands. Tears ran down her cheeks. She was so far from home, so far from everything she knew. And tomorrow she would have to face creatures that could kill her with one hand. But as she sat there crying, something inside her began to change. It was small at first, just a tiny spark of anger in her chest. She was not stupid, she was not slow. She had graduated at the top of her class. She had learned everything the academy taught her. And yes, she was small. Yes, she was weak, but she was still alive. Maybe that counted for something. Maya wiped her tears away and looked around her tiny room. This was her home now. This was her unit. And if she was going to die here, she would die trying. She lay down on the bed and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would be hard, but she would face it. She had no other choice. The first week was the worst. Maya woke up at dawn to the sound of a loud horn. She dressed quickly in her uniform and ran outside. The other soldiers were already there, standing in neat rows. She was the last one to arrive. The training instructor was a named sergeant. He had more scars on his face than Maya could count, and his left eye was made of metal. When he saw Maya running up late, he smiled in a way that was not friendly at all. Look at this, he said loudly. The human finally wakes up. Did you have a nice sleep, little one? Did you dream of flowers and sunshine? The other soldiers laughed. There were about 50 of them, all from different species. Not a single human among them except Maya. Fall in line, said, today we run. Maya thought she knew how to run. She had done it at the academy, but she had never run like this. They ran for 3 hours across the red desert. The sun was hot and bright. The air was thin and hard to breathe. The other soldiers ran easily. Their long legs ate up the ground. Maya fell behind within the first hour. Her lungs burned. Her legs felt like jelly, but she kept going. By the end, she was alone. The others had finished long ago. They watched her stumble across the finish line, her face red and wet with sweat. 20 minutes behind, said, looking at his watch. That is sad, very sad. A big soldier stepped forward. His name was, and he was one of the best hunters in the unit. His silver fur was marked with black stripes that meant he had killed many hive creatures. Why is she here? Asked. She will slow us down on hunts, she will get us killed. I agree, said a named Tor. His 4 arms were crossed over his massive chest. Humans do not belong in this unit, send her away. Looked at Maya. What do you say, human? Do you want to go home? Maya's legs were shaking. She could barely stand, but she looked up at the huge aliens around her and spoke. No. Made a sound like a growl. Then you are a fool. The days went on. Every morning, Maya ran with the unit. Every morning, she came in last. In the afternoon, they trained with weapons. Maya had never held a gun before. Her shots missed the target more often than they hit it. In the evening, they practiced hand-to-hand combat. This was the worst part. Maya was paired with different soldiers each night. They threw her around like she was a toy. By the end of each session, she was covered in bruises. The other soldiers did not talk to her. When she sat down to eat, they moved away. When she walked through the base, they pretended she was not there. She was invisible and worthless in their eyes. But Maya did not give up. Every night she went back to her room and studied. She read everything she could find about the hive. She learned about their bodies, their habits, their weaknesses. She memorized the layout of every type of hive creature. She also watched the other soldiers carefully. She noticed how they moved, how they fought, how they worked together. She saw that the biggest soldiers were often the slowest. She saw that strength was important, but so was speed and timing. 2 weeks into her training, something changed. It was late at night. Maya was in the medical building, reading a book about hive biology. She heard a noise outside and went to look. A young soldier was lying on the ground near the building. His name was Rax, and he was only a few years older than Maya. He was one of the newer soldiers in the unit, and the others often picked on him because his horns were small. Rax was holding his leg and making sounds of pain. Maya ran over to him. "What happened?" she asked. "Training accident," Rax said through his teeth. "I fell on a rock. I think I broke something." Maya looked at his leg. It was bent at a bad angle. Without thinking, she went into medic mode. She felt along the bone with gentle fingers. "It is not broken," she said, "but it is out of place. I can fix it, but it will hurt." Rax looked at her with surprise. "You know medical things." "I trained for 2 years," Maya said. "Now hold still." She grabbed his leg and twisted. There was a loud pop. Rax screamed once, then stopped. He moved his leg carefully. "The pain is gone," he said with wonder. "How did you do that?" "I studied," Maya said simply. "Now you need to rest for a few days. No running or fighting." Rax looked at her for a long moment. His yellow eyes were different now, not cold or hateful like the others. "Thank you, human," he said. That was the beginning. Word spread through the unit that Maya had helped Rax. Other soldiers started coming to her with small injuries. Cuts, bruises, muscle pain. She helped them all. She never turned anyone away. The big came to her one night with a bad wound on his arm. He had gotten it in a training fight, and it was getting infected. The regular medics were busy, so he had no choice but to ask Maya. She cleaned the wound and wrapped it carefully, watched her work with narrow eyes. "You are good at this," he said finally. "Thank you," Maya said. "But being good at this will not help you on a hunt. The hive does not care about medicine." Maya finished wrapping his arm. "Maybe not, but maybe I will find another way to be useful." Snorted, but he did not say anything mean. It was progress. A month passed. Maya still came in last on runs. She still lost every fight, but she was getting better. She was not as far behind as before. Her shots hit the target more often, and the soldiers had stopped ignoring her completely. Then came the day of her first hunt. Commander Vex called the whole unit together. His white eyes moved over the soldiers until they landed on Maya. "We have found a hive nest 20 miles south," he said. "Small nest, maybe 30 creatures. Team 7 will take this hunt." He read off the names. Rax tore 3 other soldiers. "And Maya." The unit went silent. Everyone turned to look at her. "Commander," said slowly, "the human is not ready." "She has trained for a month," Vex said. "She goes on the hunt, that is final." Maya felt fear and excitement mixed together in her chest. This was it. This was the real test. Walked over to her. His red eyes looked down at her small body. "Stay behind us," he said. "Stay quiet. Do not get in the way. If you do these things, maybe you will survive." Maya nodded. "I understand." "No," said, "you do not understand. You cannot understand until you see them. The hive is not like anything you have faced. They are fast, they are hungry, and they do not stop until they are dead or you are." He leaned closer. "I have seen many soldiers die on hunts. Good soldiers, strong soldiers. If you want to live, do exactly what I say. Do you understand?" Maya looked up at him. Her voice was steady. "I understand." The team prepared their weapons and loaded into a transport vehicle. As they drove toward the hive nest, Maya felt her heart beating fast. She was small, she was weak, she was human. But she was also a hunter now. And she was about to prove what that meant. The transport stopped a mile from the hive nest. The team got out and moved on foot, weapons ready. The land here was different from the base. There were no buildings, no roads, just red rocks and dry dust. Maya stayed at the back of the group like had told her. She carried a standard gun, but her hands also held a medical kit. She was a medic at heart, even now. Rax walked beside her. He had become something like a friend over the past weeks. He was young and not as mean as the others. "First hunt," he whispered. "How do you feel?" "Scared," Maya admitted. "Good, fear keeps you alive." Rax patted his gun. "Just stay close. The others will do the fighting, you just need to survive." They walked in silence after that. The sun was going down, painting the sky in colors of blood. Maya could smell something strange in the air, something sour and wrong. Raised his fist and everyone stopped. They had reached a ridge. Below them was a valley filled with dark holes in the ground, the hive nest. Maya looked down and felt her stomach turn. The holes were big, some of them wide enough to swallow a transport vehicle. Black liquid oozed from them and the smell was terrible, like death and rot mixed together. And there were shapes moving in the shadows, many shapes. 30 creatures, Tor muttered. His 4 arms held 4 different weapons. "Looks more like 50 to me." "Then we kill 50, said. He turned to the team. "Standard formation. Move in fast, kill everything, get out before reinforcements come. No mistakes." He looked at Maya. "Human, stay on the ridge. Give us cover fire if you can. If you cannot, just stay hidden." Maya wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She was not ready for close combat with the hive. She nodded and found a spot behind some rocks. The team moved down into the valley. They were fast and quiet, like hunters should be. Maya watched them through the sight of her gun. Then the first hive creature came out of a hole. It was worse than any picture Maya had seen. The creature was the size of a large dog, with 6 legs and a body covered in black shell. Its head was long and narrow, full of teeth that gleamed in the dying light. It had no eyes, but it turned toward the team like it could sense them. More creatures came out. 10, 20. They poured from the holes like water from a broken dam. The team opened fire. The noise was terrible. Guns blazed. The hive creatures screamed. Maya watched as charged forward, his massive body tearing through the creatures like they were made of paper. Tor used all 4 of his arms at once, shooting in every direction. But the creatures kept coming, more and more. The numbers were wrong. This was not 50. This was 100 at least. "It's a trap," Rax shouted. "There are too many." A creature jumped at him from the side. Rax turned and shot it, but another one was already behind him. It bit into his leg and he fell with a cry. Maya did not think, she just acted. She ran down the ridge, her gun firing. She shot the creature biting Rax and grabbed him by the arm. "Get up," she shouted. "Move." Rax stood on his good leg, leaning on Maya. They moved backward together as more creatures swarmed around them. Saw what was happening. He roared and charged toward them, clearing a path through the hive. "Get to the ridge, all of you, now." The team started to retreat, but there were too many creatures. They were everywhere, climbing over rocks, pouring from holes that nobody had seen. One of the soldiers fell. Maya did not see who, she just heard the scream. Another soldier went down, then another. Maya and Rax reached the ridge. She set him down behind the rocks and looked back. Half the team was gone. Only Tor and one other soldier were still fighting. And then Maya saw something that made her blood run cold. A bigger creature was coming out of the largest hole. It was 3 times the size of the others, with a body like a spider and a head like a nightmare. Its mouth opened, and it made a sound that shook the ground. The Queen. Maya had read about hive queens in her studies. They controlled the other creatures. They were smart and deadly and almost impossible to kill. Maya screamed, "Behind you!" Turned and saw the Queen. For just a moment, Maya saw something in his eyes that she had never seen before. Fear. The Queen moved with terrible speed. It grabbed the 3rd soldier and threw him aside like garbage. Then it turned to Tor. Tor fought hard. His 4 arms struck at the Queen again and again. But the Queen was too big, too strong. It grabbed him with its massive claws and squeezed. Tor screamed once, then he was silent. Was alone now, facing the Queen. He was the best hunter in the unit, the strongest and fastest, but even he could not win this fight. Maya watched from the ridge. Her mind was racing. She remembered everything she had studied about the hive, the way their bodies worked, their weaknesses. The Queens had a special spot behind their head where the nerve cluster was located. If you could hit that spot, you could kill them, but it was small and hard to reach. Maya looked at her gun. She was not a good shot. She failed almost every weapons test. But she had no other choice. She raised her gun and aimed. Her hands were shaking. The Queen was moving fast, circling, looking for an opening. Maya took a deep breath. She remembered something her instructor at the academy had told her. When you are scared, your body shakes, but your mind does not have to shake. Let your mind be calm. Let your eyes see true. She let out the breath slowly. Her hands stopped shaking. The Queen turned. For just a moment, the weak spot behind its head was visible. Maya fired. The shot flew through the air. It hit the Queen exactly where Maya had aimed. The creature made a terrible sound and fell forward, its legs folding under it. Did not hesitate. He jumped onto the Queen's back and drove his blade into its head. The creature shuddered once, twice, then lay still. Without their Queen, the other creatures went crazy. They scattered in all directions, attacking each other as much as the soldiers, ran up the ridge and grabbed Maya and Rax. Move now. They ran. Maya half-carried Rax, her small body straining under his weight, but she did not stop. She did not slow down. They ran until they reached the transport, threw them inside and started the engine. They drove away as the sun disappeared and darkness covered the land. Maya sat on the floor of the transport, breathing hard. Rax was beside her, his leg bleeding badly. She started working on his wound, her hands moving automatically. Watched her from the driver's seat. His face was impossible to read. "You killed the Queen," he said finally. "I shot it," Maya said. "You killed it." "I could not have killed it without your shot." He was silent for a moment. "I have never seen anyone make a shot like that, not even our best marksman." Maya did not know what to say. She just kept working on Rax's leg. When they got back to the base, the whole unit was waiting. They had heard the news already. 3 soldiers dead, a Queen killed. And the human had made the killing shot. Commander Vex met them at the door. His white eyes looked at Maya for a long time. "Welcome to the monster unit," he said. This time, Maya knew he meant it. Everything changed after that first hunt. The other soldiers looked at Maya differently now. They did not ignore her anymore. When she walked through the base, they nodded at her. When she sat down to eat, they did not move away. She was still small, still weak, still human, but she had proven something. She had shown that she could fight, even if her way of fighting was different from theirs. Started training her himself. Every evening, after the regular training was done, he took her to a private shooting range. "You have a gift," he said on the first night. "Your eyes see things others do not see. Your hands are steady when it matters, but you do not trust yourself. That is your weakness." Maya practiced every night for hours. She learned to use different weapons, sniper rifles, pistols, even a bow and arrow which said was old but still useful. Slowly her skill grew. She was not the strongest or the fastest, but she was becoming the most accurate. Every shot hit its target. Every bullet found its mark. The second hunt came a month later. This time, Maya did not stay on the ridge. She went down into the valley with the team. She stayed at the back, using her rifle to pick off hive creatures from a distance. 3 creatures died from her shots that day. Clean kills, headshots. When they returned to base, Rax slapped her on the back so hard she almost fell over. 3 kills, he said with a big smile. Not bad for a little human. Maya smiled back. It felt good to be part of the team. The hunts continued. Every week, Unit 77 went out to destroy hive nests. Every week, Maya got better. She learned to move quietly, to see in the dark, to sense when danger was near. She also kept her medical skills sharp. After every hunt, she treated the wounded. She saved lives that would have been lost without her. The soldiers trusted her now, both as a hunter and as a healer. 6 months passed, then a year. Maya was no longer the weak newcomer. She was a real member of the monster unit. But she was also still different. The other soldiers were big and strong. They fought the hive with brute force. Maya fought with her mind. Before every hunt, she studied the terrain. She found the best positions for shooting. She identified escape routes. She planned backup strategies. The other soldiers started asking for her advice. Even the veteran hunter would come to her before a mission. "What do you see, human?" he would ask. And Maya would tell him. She saw patterns that others missed. She found weaknesses that others could not find. One night, Commander Vex called her to his office. His white eyes studied her with that strange, deep look he always had. "You have done well, Maya," he said. "Better than anyone expected, better than I expected." "Thank you, Commander." "I have a question for you," he leaned forward. "What makes you different from the others? You are smaller, weaker, slower. By all logic, you should have died on your first hunt, but you did not. Why?" Maya thought about the question. It was something she had asked herself many times. "I think," she said slowly, "it is because I had to be different. The others can fight the hive with their strength. I cannot, so I had to find another way." Vex nodded. "Go on." "When I first came here, I studied the hive for hours every night. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to. I needed to understand them better than anyone else, because if I did not, I would die." She paused. "The others are strong, so they do not need to think as much. I am weak, so I have to think all the time. That thinking became my weapon." Vex smiled. His pointed teeth showed. "Yes, that is exactly right. You have found the secret that many soldiers never learn. The brain is the most powerful weapon of all." He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the base. "We have a new mission," he said. "A big one, the biggest in years. We have found the location of a hive central nest. Not a small nest like the ones we usually destroy. This is where they breed their queens. This is the heart of their operations in this sector." Maya felt her stomach tighten. How many creatures? "Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, and at least 20 queens." "That is impossible," Maya said. "We cannot fight that many." "Not directly, no." Vex turned back to her. "That is why we need a different approach, a smart approach, and that is why I am putting you in charge of the planning." Maya stared at him. "Me, but I am not a leader. I am the soldier in the unit." "You are also you see things others do not see. You find solutions others cannot find." Vex walked back to his desk and sat down. I need a plan that will let us destroy that nest without losing our entire unit. Can you do it?" Maya was silent for a long moment. This was more responsibility than she had ever had. If she failed, everyone would die. But if she did not try, the hive would keep growing. More soldiers would die on other missions. More worlds would fall. "I will try," she said. "Good." Vex handed her a thick folder of papers. "This is everything we know about the nest. Study it. Come back in 3 days with a plan." Maya took the folder and left his office. The folder was heavy in her hands, heavy like the weight of all those lives. She went back to her room and started reading. She did not sleep that night, or the next night, or the night after that. On the 3rd day, she returned to Vex's office with dark circles under her eyes and a plan in her hand. "We cannot fight them directly," she said, "but we do not have to. The hive nest is built underground. It has many tunnels. These tunnels connect to a central chamber where the queens stay." She pointed to a map she had drawn. "If we collapse the central chamber, the queens will die. Without queens, the other creatures will scatter. The nest will be destroyed." Vex studied the map. "How do we collapse the chamber?" "Explosives. We plant them in these 4 tunnels here, 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 and here. When they explode at the same time, the whole chamber will fall in." "And how do we get soldiers into those tunnels? They are full of hive creatures." Maya took a deep breath. "That is the hard part. We need 4 small teams, very small, 2 or 3 soldiers each. They move fast and quiet. They avoid fighting when they can. They plant the explosives and get out." "And the main force?" "The main force attacks from the front. They make noise. They draw attention. They keep the hive busy while the small teams do their work." Vex was silent for a long time. His white eyes moved over the map again and again. "This is a suicide mission for the main force," he said finally. "They will be fighting thousands of creatures." "No," Maya said. "The main force does not go inside. They stay at the entrance. They fight only what comes out. When the explosives go off, they retreat." "And the small teams? How do they escape after planting the explosives?" Maya pulled out another map. "There are emergency exits here and here, old tunnels that are not used anymore. The teams can escape through these." Vex looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly he smiled. "You really are remarkable, Maya. This plan is dangerous, but it might actually work." He stood up and shook her hand. His skin was cold like ice. "I will announce the mission tomorrow. You will lead one of the small teams. Choose your soldiers carefully." Maya felt fear and pride mixed together in her chest. She was going to lead a team into the heart of a hive nest, the most dangerous mission of her life. But she was ready. She had always been ready. She just needed the chance to prove it. The day of the mission arrived. Unit 77 gathered in the main hall before dawn. The soldiers checked their weapons, adjusted their armor, and said quiet words to each other. Some were jokes, some were prayers, some were goodbyes. Maya stood with her team. She had Chosen and Rax to come with her. They were the soldiers she trusted most. Commander Vex stood at the front of the hall. His white eyes moved over the unit. "Today we fight the biggest battle of our lives," he said. "Many of you will die. That is the truth. But your deaths will mean something. If we destroy this nest, we will save millions of lives on other worlds. We will push the hive back farther than they have ever been pushed." He raised his fist. "For the Alliance, for all the species who fight together, for our future." The soldiers raised their fists and shouted back. The sound filled the hall like thunder. The transport ships took off as the sun rose. Maya sat between and Rax, her hands gripping her rifle. Her heart was beating fast, but her mind was calm. "Scared?" Rax asked. "Terrified," Maya admitted. Laughed. It was a rough sound like rocks grinding together. "Good. A soldier who is not scared is a fool. Fear keeps you sharp." The ships flew for 2 hours before landing in a dry riverbed a mile from the nest. The soldiers got out and formed their groups. The main force, over 100 soldiers, would attack the front entrance. The 4 small teams would go around the sides. Maya looked at her team, just her and Rax, 3 soldiers against thousands of hive creatures. "Ready?" she asked. "Ready," they said together. They moved out. The walk to their tunnel entrance took an hour. They moved slowly and quietly, avoiding the hive scouts that patrolled the area. Maya had studied the patrol patterns for days. She knew exactly where to go and when. They reached the tunnel as the sun climbed high in the sky. The entrance was a dark hole in the side of a hill, hidden by rocks and dead plants. The smell coming from inside was terrible. "Wait for the signal," Maya whispered. They crouched behind the rocks and waited. Minutes passed. Then in the distance they heard the sound of gunfire. The main attack had begun. "Now," Maya said. They went into the tunnel. Inside it was dark and wet. The walls were covered with the same black slime that Maya had seen at the first nest. The floor was uneven, full of bones and things she did not want to think about. Maya led the way with a small light attached to her rifle. Behind her, and Rax moved like shadows, their weapons ready. The tunnel twisted and turned. Sometimes it split into 2 or 3 paths. Maya had memorized the route from the maps, left at the first split, right at the second, straight through the big chamber. They moved for what felt like hours. The sounds of battle were far away now, just a distant rumble. Down here it was quiet, too quiet. Then they saw the first hive creature. It was sitting in the middle of the tunnel, blocking their path. It was smaller than the ones they usually fought. A scout, maybe. Its head turned toward them, sensing their presence. Maya did not hesitate. She raised her rifle and fired one shot. The creature fell without a sound. They moved past it and kept going. More creatures appeared as they went deeper. Some were sleeping in small holes in the walls. Others were walking through the tunnels on their own business. Maya's team avoided the ones they could and killed the ones they could not. Every shot was quiet, every kill was clean. They left no traces behind. Finally, they reached the central chamber. It was huge, bigger than anything Maya had expected. The ceiling was so high she could not see it. The walls were lined with hundreds of holes like a giant beehive, and in the middle of the chamber, surrounded by a sea of eggs, were the queens. Maya counted 23 of them. They were all different sizes, but all were enormous. Their spider-like bodies moved slowly as they tended to their eggs. The sound of their breathing filled the chamber like wind. "Plant the explosives here," Maya whispered, pointing to a crack in the wall near their tunnel. "Then we run." Pulled out the explosives from his pack. They were small but powerful, enough to bring down the whole chamber if placed correctly. He started working on the wall, attaching the devices to the rock. Rax watched the chamber, his gun ready. Maya watched the tunnel behind them, making sure nothing was coming. Minutes passed, worked quickly and quietly. Sweat ran down his gray face. Then one of the queens turned her head. She looked directly at them. Her mouth opened, and she made a sound that was like nothing Maya had ever heard. A scream and a roar and a cry all at once. The whole chamber woke up. Creatures poured from the holes in the walls. The other queens turned toward the tunnel where Maya's team was hiding. The eggs started to crack open, releasing baby creatures that swarmed toward them. Dunn shouted, "Let's go." They ran. Behind them, the chamber exploded into chaos. Creatures screamed and chased. The queens roared with fury. The ground shook as thousands of legs stampeded after them. Maya led the way through the tunnel, running faster than she had ever run in her life, and Rax were right behind her. The creatures were getting closer. She could hear their teeth clicking, their claws scraping against the stone. "This way," she shouted, turning into a smaller tunnel. This was the emergency exit she had found on the maps. It was old and partly collapsed, but it led outside. They squeezed through narrow passages, climbed over fallen rocks, pushed through walls of slime and dirt. The creatures followed, but they were too big for some of the spaces. Many got stuck. Others kept coming. Light appeared ahead, the exit. Maya burst out into the sunlight and fell to her knees, and Rax tumbled out behind her. Creatures poured from the tunnel, but they were too slow. The team was already running toward the rendezvous point. Behind them, the ground shook. A deep rumble came from underground, then a massive explosion. Maya turned and watched as the whole hillside collapsed. Dust and smoke rose into the sky. The sound was like thunder that went on and on. The central chamber had fallen. The queens were dead. Maya sat on the ground and laughed. It was a tired laugh full of relief and disbelief. They had done it. Against all odds, they had done it. Sat beside her. His gray face was covered in dirt and slime, but he was smiling. "Not bad, human," he said. "Not bad at all." Rax limped over and collapsed on Maya's other side. "Can we do that again? That was fun." Maya laughed harder. She could not stop. Tears ran down her face. They sat there for a long time, watching the dust settle over the destroyed nest. Then they got up and walked toward the rendezvous point where the rest of the unit was waiting. The main force had taken losses, but not as many as expected. Maya's plan had worked. The hive creatures had been confused and scattered after the queens died. Many had turned on each other. The soldiers had been able to retreat with most of their numbers intact. Commander Vex was waiting for them at the transports. His white eyes found Maya in the crowd. "All 4 teams succeeded," he said. "The nest is destroyed. The hive has been pushed back from this sector for good." He walked over to Maya and put his hand on her shoulder. "You did this, Maya. Your plan, your leadership. You saved this unit." The soldiers around them started to cheer. They shouted Maya's name. They pounded their weapons against their armor. The sound was deafening. Maya looked around at the faces of her unit, and all the other species. Once they had looked at her with hate and doubt. Now they looked at her with respect and pride. Stepped forward. He was the most respected hunter in the unit, and when he spoke, everyone listened. 2 years ago," he said, "a small human came to this unit by mistake. We all thought she would die. We thought she was weak and useless. We were wrong." He looked at Maya. His red eyes were warm. "She is the best hunter I have ever served with, not because she is the strongest or the fastest, but because she sees what we cannot see. She finds ways when there are no ways. She makes us all better." He raised his fist toward Maya. "I am proud to call her my sister, Maya, hunter of the monster unit." The other soldiers raised their fists too. Even Tor would have if he was still alive. Maya could feel his spirit there with them. Maya looked up at all these huge, powerful soldiers, these monsters from across the galaxy. They were calling her their sister. They were honoring her. She had come here by mistake, a clerical error, a wrong number on a piece of paper. She should have been a medic on a safe planet, healing small wounds and living a quiet life. Instead, she had become something else, something she never knew she could be. She raised her own small fist toward the sky. "For the unit," she said. "For the unit," they roared back. The transports lifted off and flew toward home. Maya sat by the window, watching the red planet grow smaller beneath them. Beside her, Rax was already snoring. Across from her was cleaning his weapons with careful hands. Maya thought about her journey, from scared recruit to top hunter, from outsider to leader, from mistake to legend. She was still small, still weak by their standards, still human. But she had proven something that went beyond strength and size. She had proven that courage comes in many forms, that intelligence can beat brute force, that the smallest soldier can make the biggest difference. The monster unit had taught her how to survive, but she had taught them something too. She had taught them that different was not the same as wrong, that weakness could become strength, that humanity had its own kind of power. Maya closed her eyes and smiled. She was exactly where she belonged,